Hey guys, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. So I have here a package from the Blesket Canada team, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it Blesket team. They approached me wanting to do a collaboration. So they asked me if there was any pen that I wanted to try from their shop that I could feature on my channel. So I chose one that I never thought I would try, but I thought, why not? And then they also sent me a few ink samples and something in here. So thank you to the Blesket team for reaching out. So I'm really, really excited to be doing a little collaboration with a Canadian stationery company. So firstly, let's open this. And there we go. Oh, perfect. So these are samples of Endless, I believe it's the Regalia paper. I'm excited to try that. I've heard really good things from other people, specifically Carrie of Pens and Tea, who loves using her Endless paper pad. So I'm excited to try that. And then, oh, very summery washi. There we go. Oh, perfect. And then is this extra paper as well? Perfect. So thank you for the meeting. I'm so happy to meet you, and I hope you meet in person. I hope you enjoy your pen choice. Oh, they were sold out of the Endless Regalia notepads, but I'm going to send you some samples. I also put together some ink samples. I tried to give you a bit of everything, and I'm excited for you to try my absolute favorite ink, which is Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. Enjoy your goodies, and I hope we can collaborate soon. Shazia. And oh, that's so lovely. Shazia and I met over Zoom one day, and it felt like we could have been sitting in a cafe having coffee, just catching up. It felt like she and I had known each other forever. So thank you so much, Shazia, for this. I'm so excited. So this is, yes, this is more Endless paper. Oh, lovely. So there's some Endless paper samples, and then it's just so cute with the ink swatch and then my name. And they included 5 different inks here. One of them leaked, unfortunately, but we have Private Reserve Tanzanite, which is a fast dry. Then we have Noodlers and Matahari's Cordial. Ooh, interesting. Then Van Diemen's Aurora Australis, which is Shazia's favorite. And then we have Dominant Industry Les Nymphes, oh gosh, Les Nymphes, Les Nuages Painter Series. Ooh, I can see some shimmer. And then this one leaked. It was Van Diemen's May. You can kind of see it there in the writing, but Van Diemen's May. So I am excited to swatch those. I'm wondering if I should swatch first before I show off the pen, or let's just quickly unbox the pen. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around and then you guys will see. It's a Lamy. Who knew? Okay, so let's open this. For anybody who has the same pen, you probably already know what it is. And that's upside down. So this is a Lamy 2000. Let's put this away over here. And this was not a pen that I ever expected to add to my collection, but this is the Macron. Like, the feeling of this pen, it feels, how can I don't know how to describe it, but when I compare it to, like, for example, if I compare it to an Esterbrook Estie and the way it feels, there's this smoothness, there's this cool quality to the resin, whereas the Macron, there's that, it's smooth, but there's a bit more texture to it. And then you could see just, I don't know if you could see the detail in there. Oh my goodness. It's very sleek, and this pen I believe was made in the 1960s, and it's still around. It's still a powerhouse. You've got that clip here, which I don't use clips in general, but it's nice to have that. And then this is a snap cap. So not a twist cap, but a snap cap. And then if you're not familiar with the Lamy 2000, it's got a hooded nib. It's a 14 karat extra fine nib, and it is a hooded nib. And then you've got the ink window here because it is a piston filler. And I don't know if you can see that. There's that little tiny line here, which basically shows you where, oh my gosh, ugh, yeah, the piston is. There, you can see that. So basically, I think, oh, hold on, I did something that, oh no, see? Now that it's completely, the piston is all the way down, so you actually close it to bring all of that ink back up in here. And this is how it feels in my hand. And already when I'm putting my fingers on here, I can feel that and that on my finger. And I just don't know where else to place my fingers. And I don't know if that's something that's gonna bother me, or I almost wish for those two little pieces of metal that they had put them like this, like on here and here, so that they're not directly where your fingers would sit. But looking at the size of that in my hand, that's not too bad. And then posted, it's actually not bad posted. I don't post my pens regularly, but that's not too bad posted. That actually makes it a good weight and feels quite balanced in the hand. So I won't do the how many turns does it take to get off, because it is a snap cap. But what am I liking about it so far? It's very sleek looking. It's one of those fountain pens that you wouldn't know it's a fountain pen just by looking at it. Very, very sleek. And I'm almost afraid to do anything to it. I'm afraid to scratch it up or anything, but it is so, so interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up. But before I do that, I'm going to swatch the inks. And if there's a specific ink that I like in here, I might fill my Lamy 2000 with that. All right, so let's swatch these. Before I swatch, I thought let's do a size comparison, because why didn't I think to do that first? Okay, so there is the Lamy 2000, the Esterbrook SD, so you can see how big that is. And then you can see, actually, the next one I'm gonna put down next to it is the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0, so you can see how much bigger that is. Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And I'm gonna pull out some other pens here. So you've got the Pelikan M605. Yes, it is open. I leave it open once it's been cleaned. And then you have the Platinum 3776. And then just for, I don't know if you can see that, the Vanishing Point, Pilot Vanishing Point. So you can see it in relation to all those sizes. So let's look at it uncapped. So there are all of the pens uncapped. And I normally try to compare the size of the grip section, but the grip section on the Lamy 2000 is quite a bit longer because of that hooded nib. And I normally like a grip section that's about the size of the Esterbrook SD. And the Lamy 2000 to me already looks a little bit narrower, especially with the huge, I guess, decrease going from the ink window down to the nib. But you can see in body size, it's actually pretty comparable to the Esterbrook SD. Definitely narrower in width than the Momento Zero Grande 2.0. And you can see how teeny tiny the Pro Gear Slim looks in comparison. And then you've got the Pelikan M605, which is another piston filler pen. And then you can see what it is in comparison to the Platinum 3776. In terms of weight, when it's capped, it is 26 grams, and then uncapped, uncapped, it is 17 grams. So the cap itself is 9 grams. So to swatch my inks, I'm going to be using my Galen Leather Galen Leather notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and this is, I believe, it's still the old paper. And then I will be using, there you go, my trusty ink sample vial, which I love using for my samples, and then my Kakamori brass dip pen. I've got 2 jars of water on the side here, one with warm water and one with cool water. So first things first, I want to make sure that I can actually, you should see my desk right now. It looks so packed with stuff. I'm like, okay, but I also want to test that endless paper. So first one is Private Reserve Tanzanite, and I don't know what color this is going to be. Looks blue. Pipette. And yes, using these pipettes to do my little circles. So I'm going to start on this side. And then use this. Whoa. That is very, very cool. Is that a blurple? Blurple. blurple. And then just putting some on my pen here. So this is Private Reserve. I'm doing this at such a weird angle. Tanzanite. Not too bad on the brass dip pen. So I'm gonna do, oh, beautiful. Then just different line widths here so you can kind of see what it would look like with the different line widths. I can't speak today. There we go. I really like that. It's so deep and rich. And it actually is coming off that pen or the nib really nicely. So what I'm doing as well on the side is doing my little ink sample vial for my, what's it called? My ink sample catalog. So far that one is a really, really deep, rich, beautiful purple. I really like that one so far. So I feel like I have to move these up to the front. Kind of like kids in a lineup. All right, the next one is Dominant Industry Les Nymphes Les Nuages, which is a painter series. All right, so let's, one of the reasons why I do my ink swatching, my ink swatching as a voiceover is because there's so many little things that happen in the background. Like if you could hear Lucy scratching under my desk right now. But also sometimes I like to just focus on what I'm doing versus talking. Oh, gorgeousness. Ooh, that is a beautiful, beautiful color. I love that kind of sky blue. And I'm gonna have to refer to the name. So it's Dominant Industry. Let's move this over a bit. Dominant Industry and Les Nymphes des Nuages. And there's the two accents on the top. So then looking to see how it looks if it was in a really broad stub. Oh, I like that. I like that very, very much. It reminds me a bit of Le Bon Hermes. I love that shade of blue. Really very pretty. And Shazia said that she had chosen these inks especially for me because she feels like she knows what I like. And so far, loving the choices. Oh, so that is such a pretty, oh my goodness, pretty color. Wow. Okay, the next one is Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. And this one was Shazia's favorite, she said. So I'm very thankful that she wants to share her favorites with me. So let's grab another dry pipette here. And is it purple? I think it's purple. Whoops. And oh gosh, that is gorgeous. It reminds me a little bit of, now, I always say it reminds me of, but then when I pull the actual ink swatch file, or ink swatch, it doesn't look anything like it, but it kind of reminds me of Sailor Shikiori Hara Hara. So this is Van Diemen's. Is this my first Van Diemen's ink? I believe it is. Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. Gorgeous. Really very pretty. And you can see it. Is there going to be a bit of sheen? I don't know if there's a bit of sheen in there. It doesn't look like it now. What would this look like with a really broad fat line? Wow. And then a skinnier line, even skinnier, and extra fine. Really like that. It is going to be hard to choose what I want to ink up that Lamy 2000 with. Oh, so pretty. Now that I've let that dry, but you can see all of that sheen. It's got that green sheen to it. I always wondered why purple always went well with green sheen, but look at that. That's really, really pretty. The next one is Van Diemen's May, and it is a shimmer ink. So let's shake that around a bit. It looks like it's got like a copper or a rose gold shimmer. So I'm interested to see what this one is gonna look like. This is the one that I think leaked everywhere, or one of them leaked, I can't remember which one. Okay, so take a little bit here. Okay. Let's just hope I actually got shimmer. And then, oh, look at that beautiful purple. Oh, I can see that shimmer. And and these three, like all these purples, look so different. So this is, what was this again? Van Diemen's May. Did I get that right? Yeah, Van Diemen's May. Oh, look at that shimmer. Gorgeous. And then I'm gonna add, I like doing, and I got this idea from Simona, to do the different line widths, because it's hard to tell how an ink is going to perform in an extra fine nib versus a broad nib. So, I mean, this is not exactly going to replicate the experience with a fountain pen, but it will give you pretty, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Give you a pretty good idea. Look at that shimmer. Gorgeous. I'm loving how that's drying. Like, that shimmer is so pretty. So pretty. You don't really see it as much because there's so much ink here, but here in the different line widths, you can see that coppery shimmer. Absolutely beautiful. And then the last one is Noodler's Matahari's Cordial. So I don't think there's any shimmer in this one. And here we go. So grabbing my pipette, it's pink, red, pink. I would think pink because to me cordial is pink. I only say that because I've been reading Anne of Green Gables, and I read that part where she accidentally got her friend Diana drunk. Oh, wow. That is pretty. That's such a pretty pink, and it is more reminiscent of cordial than it is like a bright, punchy pink. Not to say that this isn't bright. When I say bright and punchy, I mean, I'm thinking of things like, although saying that, Kosumosu is more of a, it's a nice pink. It's not like punch you in the face pink. And I say punch you in the face because there are some pinks out there that are very, very bright and ostentatious. Matahari's Cordial. Now in the writing sample, it looks more red. So I'm wondering if you've got this in a broad nib, that it's going to put down way more ink. It looks more red to me. Yeah, especially in the finer line width. It looks more red than pink. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. So there's all the inks swatched, and I'll bring this a little closer as well so you can see this Private Reserve Tanzanite. It looks a lot more blurple, and you can see that kind of gold sheen on there. Very, very interesting. And then you've got Dominant Industry Les Nymphes des Nuages, and it does remind me of Le Bon Hermes, but it's got a little bit more of a pinky undertone. Can you see that there? Very, very pretty. And then we have Shazia's favorite, which is Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. So you've got this deep, warmer purple with that green sheen. Look at that. And then she also included Van Diemen's May. And it's this purple with a really, it's got a bit of a green sheen as well, but this gold shimmer. And I love how it looks in those different line varieties, those line widths. And then lastly, we have Noodler's Matahari's Cordial. It looks red. At first, when I put it down, I thought it was a pink, but it is red. It's like a lighter pinky red. So out of all of these ones, which do you think is my favorite? And what should I ink up this Lamy Safari with? I don't know. I almost want to ink it up with the Private Reserve Tanzanite because I don't have anything in my currently inked of that color. I already have Diamine Solid on Cat inked up with that, so I don't know. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and ink up the Lamy 2000 with Private Reserve Tanzanite. Before I do that, which one is your favorite out of those 5? Thanks again to Shazia and the Blesket team for hand picking these inks, and I am so happy to be trying them out. So now let's ink up the Lamy 2000. So first ever writing with the Lamy 2000. I'm nervous. Ooh. And this has an extra fine nib. Wow. And the shape of the nib, gosh. So I got this from Blesket, Canada. And this technically arrived on July 31st, 2023. But look, there's good, like a little ink coming out in the nib there. See that? Come on, camera, focus. Yeah, there's a little ink coming out there. So this is, what more can I, oh, sorry, the ink. Yeah, the ink is definitely coming out of that nib there. So the ink is Private Reserve Tanzanite, and it honestly feels like the ink is gushing out of the nib, and it's making me very worried. Look at it piling up there on the top. I just wipe some of that off to see if that would help. So let's do a few swirls and up and down strokes. It is very fine, and I really like that. So it's smooth with the down strokes going to the right, going up, and then going to the left. There is, you know, it is smooth, wet, with a hint of feedback. What is worrying me though is the ink coming out on the top of the nib there. That's what's worrying me a little. So ink is coming out at the top of the nib. But comfort level, it is actually comfortable, and I didn't even notice the two pieces of metal that come out here. These two pieces of metal are what help keep the cap on, and actually comfortable in my hand, not too narrow, and the smooth barrel is very nice along the inside of my hand. I'm actually really enjoying that, except for the ink that's coming out on top there. If anybody knows what is going on with that, whether it's just the way that that nib is, because that worries me. Like, it's very wet. It's a very, very wet, extra fine nib, and I really like it. But what worries me is the ink coming out like that. Is that supposed to happen? I don't know. This is my first ever Lamy 2000, so I don't know. And actually, I'm writing with it posted, and it's very comfortable posted. I feel like it's too, for me, almost too small, if not posted. So this is actually very, very comfortable in my hand. I'm actually really enjoying writing with that. My only worry about it is the ink that is coming out of the nib like that. That's my only worry. So what are my overall thoughts on the Lamy 2000? Is this a gold nib that you should purchase if this is your first ever gold nib pen? So I have a number of fountain pens that are great for introductions to gold nibs. I have the Vanishing Point, Pilot Vanishing Point, the Pilot E95S. I also have, a Sailor Pro Gear Slim or a Platinum 3776. And oh gosh, that really is bugging me, the ink that's coming out there. I'm going to cap that first and see what happens. Do I recommend this? From the first 5 minutes that I've spent with this pen, I actually really like it. It looks very well made, very strong is the word that's coming to mind. Very strong, very sturdy, very classic looking. And I feel like if I hadn't tried this, I don't know, I wouldn't say that my fountain pen journey would have been incomplete, but I feel that now I have tried it, it has definitely better informed me of what I like and what I don't like. And I was surprised by this because I had put off trying this pen for so long because I thought, oh, it's not one of my really pretty swirly ones or anything. And I thought, it's just such a boring pen. Why would I buy it? And I'm glad that I decided to choose this one from Blesket because it really is a great gold nib pen. And you can tell that it's well made. Now the price of this has increased a little bit since I first started my fountain pen journey. So I believe this was 260 Canadian. And I remember before being a little bit cheaper a couple of years ago, but comparing it to the Pilot Vanishing Point, I had purchased the Pilot Vanishing Point at $200 Canadian a couple of years ago, and now that's gone up in price a little bit as well. So if you're looking for an introductory gold nib pen, you're probably going to pay anywhere from 200 to 300 Canadian. And I'm certain you can find some on Amazon for cheaper than that. But again, I think this is a great one to add to your collection. It's classic. It is really, like, the nib actually works really well, but now I'm going to check to see if that nib, if the ink is coming out on that nib a little. So tell me, is that an issue? Is that an issue that I'm going to have to be worried about when I write with this, that the ink is just going to start coming out? Doesn't seem to be doing it now, but we'll see. So the other thing with this is that because it is a piston filler, unless you are very experienced with fountain pens, I do not recommend taking this apart like you would a TWSBI Eco. I have heard some people who have taken this apart and then they lost that metal piece and then they couldn't cap their pen again. So I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to try to be an engineer and take this one apart. And I said I was going to make this quick, but basically, I like this pen. I actually do really like this pen, and I'm glad I chose this. It feels really great in the hand. The material that it's made of and the way that it's so well balanced in my hand. The nib is excellent. I really like the extra fine nib. Now it is a German extra fine 14 karat gold nib, but it is still very smooth. So if you are wanting a finer line than that, unfortunately, you won't get that with the Lamy 2000 because it is a German pen, German-made nib. It is going to be wider than your fine or extra fine Japanese gold nibs. All right. Whew. That was a lot of talking. And then just quickly here as well, Blesket also sent me some samples of their endless paper, and I'm just making a very quick comparison. It's definitely thicker than your 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, but if you look at Shazia's letter here, this is the Noodler's Matahari's Cordial with a 14 karat medium nib, and the shading on this is beautiful. And then you can also see that the paper itself just looks smooth. Like, it looks like it's a coated paper compared to, I mean, Tomoe River paper is a little bit coated, but just even feeling it, it feels like there's, how can I describe that? I'm gonna compare it to Rhodia paper. Like, Rhodia paper that I have here is thinner than the endless paper. I'm gonna do a quick comparison of, let's pick, what ink do I want to, I'll use Van Diemen's Aurora Australis to compare it on the endless paper, the Rhodia paper, and Tomoe River paper. So I was able to do a bit of ink swatching on the endless paper and trying to see a little bit of the difference on that. So firstly, with Private Reserve Tanzanite, you can really see the sheen in the writing sample, but it almost looks like, with how much ink was on there, it looks like it bled through. Yeah, and actually, if you look on the back, a lot of them have bled through, whereas on the Tomoe River paper, there's a tiny bit like of bleed through, but it's mostly shadowing, whereas on the endless it's a little bit more of a bleed through. And then comparing it to, oh, that's the wrong one. Comparing Private Reserve to the Rhodia paper, there's a lot more sheen on the Rhodia paper as well, but you do get a little bit of that similar effect like you do on the endless paper, with the sheen almost overpowering the writing sample, but you don't really get that on the Tomoe River paper. And then with Dominant Industry Les Nymphes des Nuages, you do get a bit of shading, but I feel like the shading is more prominent on the writing sample in the Tomoe River paper than it is on endless or the Rhodia paper. And then Van Diemen's Aurora Australis, it looks so much pinker on the swatch on the Rhodia paper, but the writing sample just looks green. It doesn't even look like it's got any purple. Whereas here on the Tomoe River paper, you can see that there is a lot of sheen there, but you can still see some of the base purple underneath that sheen. And then on the endless paper, you don't see as much of the sheen on the Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. And then we have Van Diemen's May, which you can see more green of the sheen on the Tomoe River paper, not as much of the green sheen on the endless paper, and then a little bit of the green sheen there on the Rhodia paper. But the shimmer is really prominent in the writing sample. Maybe it was the way that it was on the nib, but you can really see how the shimmer kind of overtakes the writing sample. And then on the Rhodia paper, there's a little bit more of the purple that's coming out. I really like that color. And then lastly, Noodler's, oh, that's still a little wet. Noodler's Matahari's Cordial. To me, there actually isn't a huge difference between the three papers for this particular one. I feel like this fell a little flat in terms of its shading. Maybe it was just me, or maybe it was just the type of nib that I was on. I see a little bit more shading here in the different widths, whereas you don't see as much shading even in that, whereas the shading is showing up here. So I need to use the endless paper just a little bit more to get to know it better. This is a first impression of the endless paper, and I am excited to use it for different just different writing samples and to try it out. I'm still a Tomoe River paper girl at heart, but we'll see how we get on. I do want to keep trying this and see how I feel overall. So thank you so much to the team at Blesket for approaching me, for wanting to do this collaboration. All of the opinions in this video are my own. I have not been paid for this review. So I'm always thankful when somebody asks if they can send me ink and a pen. I'm like, yeah, of course. So which one is your favorite out of all of the inks? And do you own a Lamy 2000? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you are interested in purchasing from Blesket, you can use my code Karina10 until December 31st, 2023 to get 10% off your purchase. So for any Canadians who do want to purchase from a Canadian retailer, Blesket is for you, and I can get 10% off your purchase for you. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and have yourselves a fantastic day.